Here's how you can stop being so hard on yourself and finally find confidence in your body. This one's for my ex-athletes because we love to push ourselves to the limits. I've used this method with so many of my clients that were ex-athletes, whether they were high school athletics, college athletics, or beyond. We needed to go from a place of being so hard on yourself, what your body looks like and how you exercise and eat, to a place where even after your last season has ended, you're comfortable and confident in how you look and how you take care of yourself, even if that looks different than it used to. I'm going to show you how these methods can make you feel more body confident immediately and define for yourself what fitness and nutrition should look like at this stage of your life. Now, there's no denying that there's so many benefits to sports beyond your physical health when you're younger. For girls and women, sports can be so empowering. It teaches you leadership skills. It teaches you how to be with a team and appreciate community. And it makes you feel strong. But being a former athlete means that you are also in a situation, in an environment that put a lot of pressure on you, both to look and perform a certain way and to be a certain person, whether you realize it or not. And this is especially true with female athletes. I'm Sarah, I'm a professional body image coach, and I help my clients find more body acceptance as well as consistency and clarity in your nutrition and your fitness habits in a way that really serves your unique life. I'm also an ex-athlete myself. As a kid, I played every sport I could, but my sport was soccer. I loved my sport, but I also struggled with my body image so much during it. On my team, I was the head goalkeeper, and I loved having that role of commanding my team, commanding the field, and being in charge in that way. But there was also a part of me that knew that I was one of the biggest girls on the team, that I had always been a slower runner. I had asthma as a kid, that I had always struggled more to be this tip-top athletic shape, and I always felt like I was in the goal as a punishment for that. I was super self-conscious of my body. I was super self-conscious that I was bigger and didn't look like any of the other girls on my team. I always felt like I needed to prove myself and push myself extra, and unfortunately, it eventually made me fall out of love with my sport because it started to feel more like a chore than a passion. Luckily, I was able to reconnect with it a few years ago in my own time, and I still love soccer so much. I love being athletic. I love being sporty. I love being active. It's a huge part of my life. But there were many years where I had this resentment and this frustration with the system I had been in that had made me feel like my body wasn't good enough when I was just a kid trying to enjoy this activity. There's no coincidence that as a body image coach, I've worked with countless athletes as well. So many of them that are searching for peace with their body after their athletic career has ended. Whether their athletic career ended in high school like mine, or they carried all the way through college or afterwards with professional sports. Being an athlete is a huge part of your identity, so it can be difficult to manage on your own and navigate how that fits into your life and heal some of the negative mindsets it might have given you towards your body. Life post-season, whether your last season was years ago or last week, is difficult to navigate for so many of us. But you can still find your best health and your best body confidence, even if you don't look exactly like you did in your peak season. In order to understand how to find that, though, we need to go back to the beginning of your athletic career. Being an athlete teaches you certain things. When you began as an athlete, maybe it was when you were a kid or even in high school, you learned very quickly that what your body looks like and what your body is able to do is very important. Your physique and your physical abilities were essential to how you performed in your sport. And if you performed well, you probably got praise from other people, whether it was your teammates or your coach or your parents or your friends. And that feels good. That's what we need as humans. But when you don't have a good game or a good practice, the way that we reflect in athletics is to understand what went wrong. A lot of times it might be that you weren't strong enough, or you weren't fast enough, or you couldn't jump high enough, or you couldn't get low enough to get under the ball. That word enough keeps coming up, and the solution that we see for it is to make our bodies better. Better becomes stronger, leaner, lighter. So through sports, you learn that when something isn't satisfactory, something you don't deem good enough, changing your body is the way to do that. When you're an athlete, you can't help but be so focused on your body for this reason. You're thinking about your fitness through practices and conditioning and how you perform in games. You're thinking about your nutrition as a way to fuel your body so that you can perform better. And you're looking in the mirror at your body all the time to evaluate if there's been changes as a result of your hard work. So because of this, you learned from a young age that what your body looks like and what it's able to do equals your success in your sport and the praise that you got from other people for that success. You learned that changing your body was a way to be better, to be good enough, whatever that meant for you. And you learned that exercise and eating were the top 2 ways to do that, to control your body. It makes so much sense in the context of athletics, but it also makes so much sense why you're struggling with your body image, movement, and food now. Not to mention how different your physical body might be from when you were in your peak athleticism, your peak season. You associate that peak physical form with your best self when it comes to effort and strength and swiftness and performance. So now when you're out of your season, out of your athletic career, softness, weight gain, loss of muscle, not being able to work out that hard or eat that perfectly or well or volume, that feels like you not doing enough. But here's the thing, what enough means to you has to adjust when your sport is over. Your problem is not the way that your body is, it is how you see your body. And we need to radically realign how you view yourself, what your perspective of yourself is, what enough means with fitness, with food, and with what you see when you look in the mirror. There's things that are essential for you to remember. Number one being that your body is different than it was when you were in your sport, not just physically, but you were probably younger then, maybe a lot younger. Comparing yourself to a body that had different hormones, different things going on, different levels of stress, different lifestyle is just not realistic for you. Your lifestyle is completely different now as well. Maybe you have kids, maybe you have a partner, you probably have a full-time job, you have friends you want to spend time with, you have hobbies. No wonder you don't have time to just go to school all day and practice every single day after school. 5 workouts a week isn't realistic anymore. Working out twice a day is not realistic anymore. Working out for 2 hours maybe isn't realistic anymore, and that's perfectly okay. It's not that you've become weaker, that you're no longer successful in your health. It's just that what enough is for you, what's realistic for you, has been redefined in a new season of life, and you need to accept and adjust to that. We need to change your expectations for yourself so that you can feel confident in who you are now and how you look now, because that confidence and that self-trust is what leads to your best body confidence, but also your most consistent nutrition and your consistent gym habits as well. Shaming yourself for not being how you used to be isn't getting you in the gym. Maybe it is short-term, but not long-term. It doesn't last. It's not a good sense of motivation. Many of the athletes that I work with come to me knowing that although they have so much love for their sport and it gave them this sense of discipline and strength and personal challenge, it's also given them a lot of awareness and issues with their body. It's changed how they see movement. It's changed how they see food, and adjusting your perspective from when you're in your season, in your sport, to when you're in the adult world. Many of us fail to make that adjustment, and that's what leads to these struggles with your body image and your confidence. So many of my athlete clients struggle with feeling like they need to be perfect in every meal, like one bad food has the power to ruin the day. They struggle to take rest days, and they feel so guilty when they don't work out, especially because they don't look like they used to, and they can't work out as hard as they could when they were younger. And a lot of my athlete clients are super hard on themselves. They're perfectionists in other areas of life too. It affects their romantic relationships, feeling like they need to be the perfect partner instead of just being themselves. They need to be the perfect child instead of allowing to ask for their needs to be met. And they're overdoing it in the workplace because they feel like they always need to be doing the most, competing with themselves and competing with other people. This was especially true of my client Lydia, who came to work with me at the very end of her long-term competitive swim career. Lydia was a D1 competitive swimmer. She had been swimming from the ages of 7 to 22, and we worked together in her last season. The reason that she came to me is that she knew that at the end of her last season, she was not going to have a summer off and then come back to the aggressive conditioning that she was doing in her swim career. They had a 9-month-long season and they were working out twice a day, every day. She was never going to be in that structure again. She knew how good it felt to work her way up to her peak season body because she was so strong. She was swimming her best. But she also knew that every summer, she lost a lot of that progress in her fitness, as one does when they're not working out twice a day. The thing was, she knew that after the summer, she wasn't coming back to this, and she needed to redefine what fitness looked like for her, what body image was for her, what body confidence was for her, because it could no longer rest in just one image. She needed to understand how to best fuel her body, not so much through the perspective of preparing for a game, but preparing for a 9-to-5 job, for spending time with her friends, through dating. She went from this extreme perspective of physical conditioning and holding herself accountable to needing to redefine who she was going to be and what her health was going to look like outside of her sport. Luckily, because we were able to do that, she was able to release this pressure that she always needs to be doing more, that there must be an explanation for why her body looked the way it did, or a certain food made her feel the way that it did. She didn't feel like she always had to be improving on herself. She still had really solid goals, but she was satisfied with the progress she was making right now. Talking to yourself in this way, being so hard on yourself, comparing yourself to your old body, it doesn't make you feel any better, and it doesn't motivate you to change your current habits. It just makes you feel more overwhelmed, more stuck, and more lost in who you are. It's overwhelming and it's draining, and it's a habit that you want to be able to release. Now, this is only scraping the surface of the conversations that I have with the athletes that work with me, but a huge part of changing how you see your body, how hard you are on yourself, especially if you're a perfectionist, is changing your self-talk. That's that dialogue that you have running in your head at all times that's telling you that you should be doing more, that you should be working harder, that you looked better in those old photos. That in itself is such an essential skill that I teach to all of my clients at the beginning of our work. And then they have their connection to me with our weekly meetings, with our messaging, so that we can consistently practice that skill. Because realigning how you speak to yourself, it takes practice and it takes time, but having that accountability of working with a coach is so valuable. This is what allowed so many of my athlete clients, as well as my other clients as well, to really make so much progress in their body image and feel so much more confident in how they move and how they eat in such a short amount of time. I put that simple 4-step self-talk formula that I teach to my clients in a video of its own so that you can watch it and learn it right now. So I'll make sure that you can see that video here. You can also watch my full interview with Lydia and understand from the D1 swimmer perspective what it's like to work with somebody like me and finally get to the bottom of so many of your body image issues and the ways that you're mean to yourself. And as always, if you're motivated to make these changes to work with someone like me now, my email is always in the description of the video, and you can always message me on Instagram as well. Send me a message that says get started, and we will talk about how to make this happen for you.